Some people have a deep, abiding respect for the natural beauty that was once this country. And some people don't. People start pollution. People can stop it.
Pollution. Yuck. It's all around us. It's in the air, in our water, our soil, and of course, in our oceans. Our planet's not the same anymore, and we're a big reason for that. We're killing people and animals, and it's just gross to look at. Fact is, there's parts of America that are pristine, and there's large parts where things are really dirty. Overall, as a nation and as a world, it's not getting much better either. Although in some places, the air quality is a little bit better. Now, we're not going to get into the politics of what type of pollution is worse than others, nor are we going to discuss if there's a long-term impact on our planet due to certain types of pollutants. You guys can battle about that in the comments and call each other names there. I think most people will agree that we all deserve clean water, clean air, and an environment that doesn't look like a big garbage pile. So get ready to hold your breath as we get all EPA with it and visit our most polluted, dirty states by Nick Johnson. They're not proud of their old pollution. They're not proud of their old pollution.
This is a population explosion. It means more and more people, most of whom will land in our cities and suburbs. More people in cities means a growing burden of pollution in the air we breathe.
Now, as we tour America for this video, we don't want to make things worse, right? I mean, the whole point is to show which areas are polluted and bring up solutions. So to leave a carbon neutral footprint, we're going to tour the country in this eco-friendly vehicle. I'm sure the chicks will dig it, especially the hippie chicks. We probably won't find very many hippie chicks here though. We're in Kentucky, which ranks first in the country for toxic air pollution from power plants. 40 million pounds of toxic air is released in the atmosphere every year here. And it's been tough trying to get them to change that. Coal ash is another problem here. The Kentucky River itself has had to deal with this stuff, which is the leftover waste from burned coal. There's dozens of coal ash waste sites around Kentucky, so burning coal not only makes the air gross, it makes the water gross too. Perhaps coincidentally, Kentucky has one of the nation's highest cancer rates in the nation too, and reproductive toxins and behavioral toxins are also all over the place here. Not good, Kentucky. Not good at all. Okay, off we go up to practically Russia, to our biggest state, Alaska. Are there even enough people here to make pollution? Not really, but they still do. As a state, Alaska produces the most toxins overall, 834 million pounds of it to be exact. And like 90% of Alaska's toxin releases come from one county, Northwest Arctic County. Is that a place? Actually, it is. It's actually a borough. This is home to the Red Dog Mine, which releases more toxic chemicals than any other state all by itself. Now, understandably, residents in a native village an hour away think they're being contaminated. Red Dog Mine is a huge zinc, silver, and lead mine that might as well be in the North Pole, it's so far away. Zinc is mostly used for coating iron and steel to prevent corrosion. It was not used for coating people's faces in the 80s to prevent sunburn. That was zinc, and some people still wear it, believe it or not. Now, speaking of weird, colorful trends, we have to pay a visit to our dear friends in California once again. You might be asking, isn't this state a bunch of eco-hippies? Some are, mostly in San Francisco, where you can't buy plastic bags anymore, which is maybe good, maybe bad. The air here is absolutely terrible. 9 of our fine nation's 25 worst places for air pollution are in this one state alone. It's pretty much all here from the LA basin all the way up to the Central Valley. Mostly it's bad because everyone's driving and the mountains trap all the smog. Now, it is getting better here over time. I grew up near Los Angeles, and as a kid I remember that right around 3 in the afternoon in the summer, you couldn't even see the mountains nearby. And it was kind of a game that we would play where you would hold your breath, and whoever could hold their breath the longest without coughing would win. Now, if you look at the nation as a whole, air pollution's a little bit better. Our air was actually terrible in the 70s and 80s, but then over time it got a lot better. And then we saw a new trend, In the West, the air pollution has started to get a little worse again. Same thing in the Midwest. But in the Northeast and the South, air pollution levels are lower than they've been in a long time. Now, the reason we've seen another increase in the air pollution in these areas? More people, more driving, and we're not enforcing the Clean Air Act as much, at least holding people accountable like we used to. So, California cities have the worst air. That's not a shocker. Which U.S. cities have the worst water? Pittsburgh, Milwaukee, Newark, New Jersey, and of course Flint, Michigan. They all have really dirty water right now, though Flint is replacing their lead pipes and it's getting a little bit better here. But if you live in the wealthy Dallas, Texas suburbs, you have a lot to be concerned about. Look at this map. It shows a huge area in northern Texas where, as a region, the quality of the drinking water is like the worst in the country. And incidentally, Texas ranks 11th on this list. OHI. Oh no! Here we are in the Midwest again, in the state of Ohio. Now, we're here in the heart of the Rust Belt, so as you can imagine, the air and land has taken quite a beating in this region. Like Kentucky to the south, it's the high number of power plants here that's the biggest problem. About 12% of all dangerous power plant emissions come from this one state alone. It's estimated that thousands of people die prematurely each year because of the air pollution in Ohio. Cincinnati has terrible air. Cleveland does too. Columbus isn't actually that bad. I mean, for America it isn't. Apparently in the 70s, the air was so dirty here from all the coal being burned that people had to use their headlights to drive in the daytime. What the? Is that true? It is. There was so much soot in the air that you couldn't even hang your clothes outside because they'd get all dirty again. Well, anyways, you don't have to drive with your lights on in the daytime anymore, and Ohio's air is a little bit better these days, but it's still pretty lousy. And also remember, Ohio is home to the Cuyahoga River, which runs through Cleveland and into Lake Erie. Now, when Cleveland was at its industrial peak, there was so much crap seeping into the water here that it caught fire all the time. Like, the river caught fire. But something good happened from it, because seeing a river on fire because of all the chemicals was a sign that was messed up. So they fixed it. Mostly. Tennessee's a pretty state, but there's a lot of ugly air and dirty water in these hollers. The state's greatest offender is the Tennessee Valley Authority, which burns a lot of coal and has since the 60s. It's so bad that poor Knoxville once had the worst air in the country. Now they're making strides here. This somewhat impressive graph shows how solar, hydro dams, and wind and nuclear power are helping to lower the emissions here. Okay, so we're spending a lot of time talking about America, but quickly, which countries have the worst and least pollution? Well, here's a cool map. So purple and red are terrible, and you can see it's China, around India, a few places in Eastern Europe, but these are the places that have the worst pollution. There's some of these places in India that are like hazardous, like you're gonna die. And usually the most polluted countries are the poorest countries too. Now this is interesting. During the recent global social distancing or quarantine that we were doing, pollution levels went way down in some of these places. Like, look at this. You can see the difference. Regular day, quarantine day. Regular day, quarantine day. Anyway, we got to figure out this whole air thing. Of all world deaths each year, air pollution is the 4th biggest cause. Like 5 million people die each year because of air pollution alone. We're not fitting in now. I think everyone's staring at us like we just got here from the moon or something. Okay, so of course West Virginia is going to be on here. They invented pollution. 40% of the waterways here can't pass quality water tests, which means it's in the drinking water too. Which also means cancer rates, development problems, and behavioral and cognitive issues are probably going to be a big deal here. And they are. And they're not trying to fix things in West Virginia either. They're in the bottom for alternative energy and the bottom for public policy. I mean, energy creates jobs, people, and these people need to work. And their work is killing them. And you and I, literally.
I worked in the mines once. I didn't get sick.
Are you wearing that mask because of the virus or social distancing or...
I'm wearing it because I'm a badass.
Okay, give me that thing. Hey! Give me it. Oh God, what did we do?
I'm gonna personally clean up this entire state and do my part to make this country better.
Good, here's a mop for a map. You do that. I don't think she's really gonna like that very much, but we'll see. Now, when you measure drinking water, coal-induced pollution, and ground contamination, it's bad in Illinois. A recent report said Illinois was among the 5 worst in terms of largest populations with bad water, mostly Chicago. And Illinois is sort of trying. They rank near the middle when it comes to environmental regulations. You can see here that the states with the strictest environmental regulations are mostly up here in the Northeast and in Oregon. And I have to say, these states also have far less kids with attitudes. I think there's a connection between polluted water and bad behavior. Is it just me? Okay, here we are in Pennsylvania, another Rust Belt state where kids grew up eating coal for breakfast. This state ranks in the top 3 for CO2 emissions, air particulates, and is 49th for toxic exposure. That's second worst, everyone. Yuck. Yikes. They have the most premature deaths per capita caused by air pollution here. Almost 5,000 people died in this state last year because of the bad air. Pennsylvania also got a big fat F from the American Air Association. Such a shame. Ooh, looky here. Karen looks pooped.
I can't clean this whole country by myself. It's too dirty.
Yeah, well, that was really ambitious. I'm actually surprised you even tried. I haven't seen you do a regular job since that time you worked at Walmart.
This was volunteering. It wasn't a real job.
You're right. You did this for free. You get an A. So if you want to get into a fist fight with somebody in Louisiana, try walking into a bar wearing this. Home to oil rigs and oil drilling. This state keeps itself afloat by doing dirty, dangerous things. All for energy. Sadly, they call this part of the state Cancer Alley because of all the chemical plants. And they're even building more of them too. Across the country, there's less power plants with high emissions. Not here. Not in Louisiana. And the poor black communities are the ones suffering the most, because that's where they put the chemical plants and refineries. The water here sucks too. Industrial facilities release millions of pounds of crap into the waterways, bayous, and eventually that gets to the ocean. Now before we move on, speaking of ocean pollution, did you know that there's a huge floating plastic garbage blob in the ocean? There's actually a few of them. One's called the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. It's about the size of 2 Texases. Now, which state is even worse than Louisiana? There's one? Well, yes, there is. It's Indiana. You might be saying, what the? Didn't you used to live there, Nick Johnson? I did. And I don't remember it being that bad. But when you look at the numbers, it's true. Of all the big cities in America, Indianapolis produces the most toxins. Sort of makes sense since this is sort of part of the Rust Belt region, I guess. There's steel mills and auto plants and coal plants all over the area, which spew lead, arsenic, and mercury at high rates. There's about 100,000 people in Indiana that live so close to the oil and gas operations that their health is at risk. Tens of thousands of kids get asthma attacks from the crummy air, and even the bats are getting sick. We're killing the bats? Poor bats. Put a bow on this whole thing. Of all the energy produced in Indiana, less than 1% is created using green technology. Okay, so that's it. The most polluted states in America. I colored them a gross shade of brown because they are dirty, filthy places that should be scrubbed. Not the whole states, but parts of them. And if you're wondering, and I'm sure you are, here are the least polluted places in the country, colored in a very pretty shade of blue. Ooh. So as we leave the toxic environment behind us, we can only hope that the kids growing up will want to study things like science and technology so they can create newer, greener ways to keep this country running. Because despite how you feel about the energy sector or where you lie politically, it's clear that lots of people suffer because we're digging and burning and dumping things into places where we shouldn't. Now, if you were motivated by this, there's a ton of ways you can get involved. You can plant trees, or you can clean beaches, and maybe even just be a good example by literally not littering and making the problem worse. If you do litter, you are a jerk. They've got skies that look like night. They got a water that don't need drinking. They got a whole lot of trash in their yards. Look so bad here that you don't want to stay here. They're alone with their true pollution. They're not proud of their old pollution. Hey guys, if you learned something new or you just like this video, make sure to like it. And if you really like this video, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you get all of our videos about what it's like to live in different places in America. Peace.